My name is Molly Julien. My business name is mollynjulien.lpc. I service, my clientele is adults ranging from 18 to my oldest 70. I don't, when I started my practice, I don't specifically gear towards females, but that's kind of what it's evolved to over the years, just due to my own interest areas. But I still have males that I see as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you've got a diverse clientele from 18 to 70. That is awesome.
Yes.
I would like to ask you, what first drew you to the world of therapy and mental health?
Well, I was thinking about this because I didn't really have this direct path going into college, as a lot of us don't necessarily. But I did take a psychology course in high school, and I was very interested. And looking back, I can see why I was meant to be what I'm doing. I'm middle child, always kind of the mediator of the family, helper, love to take care of others. So then I went to Michigan State University, majored in just a general science degree, took a few psychology courses, and really enjoyed the classes and changed my major to psychology. When I did graduate, I wasn't sure what exact path I wanted to go down. So I did work as a case manager, working with adults with varying disabilities, for about 4 years before I pursued my master's degree.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah.
And then was there a moment early on when you realized this work was more than just a career for you?
Yes, more than just a career. What I have built in the since 2014, I always wanted to work in private practice, but I never thought that I would open up my own shop from the get-go. And again, from the get-go is post master's and 4,000 hours that I had to complete for Virginia licensure.
Gotcha.
So I worked for community mental health for those years. So I had a lot of experience.
Yeah.
Sat for the board, the state exam, passed that, and really tried to figure out what I wanted to do. I just knew I didn't want my license just to sit. But I was also a mom of very young children. At that time, I had a 2-year-old when I started and an 8-month-old. And now I have 3 girls. My youngest is 7.
Congratulations.
13.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I've kind of grown over the years, but I would say the last couple years I've really, it's really become a full-time job, but it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
I love it.
Good. That's awesome. And I guess hearing about your history and working and helping like community services in that way, what made you decide to, instead of just joining another practice, to start your own?
Good question. So I sat down with one of my mentors through Fairfax County, Mickey Bakhtar, and he really laid it out for me because he had his own private practice and also worked as a clinician for Fairfax County. And it came down to how much money that I would be making based on the percentage that you give to the practice and how much work is it really to identify your own clients, start a practice. It's really just finding a location.
Yeah.
Making sure that you have liability insurance. And I also became credentialed with several insurance plans. So that's a process, but that has been my revenue over the years is I do take insurance.
Yeah.
I bill in network and out of network. So that's kind of the only major difference was finding a location, and I called around and I was able to sublet from a local spot, a local therapy group. I worked weekends in the beginning when they weren't using their office space, slowly building, paying hourly for the office space, had more time that they could give it to me during the weekdays. And when I started realizing that hourly rate was starting to look more like what I could pay for a monthly lease is when I decided to lease a full-time office about 5 years ago.
Okay,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Very cool. And then is it just you in your office, or do you have a small team, or do you hope to have a small team?
It's just me, but I would say I work and have office mates that we value the same overall health and overall wellness. I work with a functional doctor in the office, Rachel Bonner. She's in there.
Yes, we know Rachel. We love
yes,
her.
and I wouldn't say I work with her, but I have referred clients to her. She refers clients to me. So, and then another provider who provides acupuncture for infertility.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Just around, and it's just the three of us in
Love
the
it.
little space in Leesburg.
Girl power.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. And then how do you help people reconnect with themselves when they feel completely disconnected?
Reconnect with themselves. So first and foremost for me, therapy. I've been doing it a long time, over 20 years. And the most important part of being a good therapist is the relationship. That is, I think, what helps me grow my business. I have clients that have returned over the years. I have some clients I've had for 10 years, not consistently, but it's the relationship. So to build that relationship, it is me truly listening to their full experience. And the reason I can see them kind of from that helicopter view is it's objective, really.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have any emotion or any skin in the game of how it makes me feel. And it's very clear, and I'm able to help them connect the dots of maybe how they're feeling now is more a belief system that they've carried with them their whole life that necessarily doesn't serve them well now.
Yes.
But it helped them when they were young and they didn't have much control over their life or their surroundings. So we tend to, in times of stress, fall back into, you know, reacting and believing those maladaptive beliefs. So really, understanding them fully is where it becomes very easy to identify how to help them, whether it's navigating their, I work with a lot of women, their overall like health, whether it's infertility struggles, perimenopause, menopause, whether there's an underlying thyroid condition. I like to look at all of the things that could be affecting.
Yeah.
And if it's really, it's really due to this time of life, this stressful situation, then we can really hone in on that. But it's hard to hone in on something right from the get-go if we don't look at the whole person.
Yes, from a wide perspective.
Yes.
And then I saw online you have some therapeutic approaches that you use. We have holistic, person-centered, I'm not going to name all of them, but some of them, family systems, acceptance and commitment therapy, emotionally focused, and mindfulness based. Can you talk to me about some of those and how you're using them to help people? And I'm sure there's not one size fits all because everybody has different backgrounds, everyone has different stories and methods that may work best for them. So talk to me a little bit about these approaches.
Yes. So in school, it was very much, these are the different theories and modalities, and therapists of 20 years ago or so, it was you align with that and that's how you practice, whether it's your cognitive behavioral, your psychodynamic, your motivational interviewing, that is what the person comes to you for. But as all healthcare has evolved in a lot of ways, there's no one size fits all approach. So in terms of the person-centered, that is the foundation of that theory, is that the relationship is first and foremost, that the therapist doesn't just go right in and problem solve and figure out solutions and have the therapy be brief, like only in a certain amount of sessions. When the relationship is built, then it's easier to, I would say I lean more into a lot of times the cognitive behavioral, so the core beliefs. But that can overlap with a lot of different theories that are even, shadow work, our values that we identify with when we were younger, but they might be different now.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we're feeling like we're not, just life isn't going right, a lot of times we're not in line with our values.
We're clouded.
Yes. And it's okay, are we on this path because of an opinion, a judgment, high stress load, your stress resilience? So that's kind of the grounding work of, okay, let's look at the values.
Yeah.
And boundaries come in there too. So when it comes, it's really just utilizing what serves that person the best.
Absolutely. Now, I want to talk about something else, and it's marketing. I want to ask what you're doing with marketing. Are you an avid social media user? Are you going to networking events? How are you getting the word out there about your business?
So I have never had to market.
That's nice.
And I will explain why. And I'm coming here today because I want to stay current, but I also want to share at the end, navigating, finding helping professionals can be frustrating when you can't find somebody or they don't take your insurance. So I'll talk about that later,
please.
to be more helpful, because I do get an influx of clients because I am in network with several insurance plans. And because I have the software and the billing knowledge, I also do the billing for out of network, whereas some out of network providers will give them what's called a super bill. But what I found is when I did that, they weren't getting reimbursed much. But when I did, I was getting the full reimbursement. And I'm not, it's just, I don't think the coding was any different. It's just submitted from the individual, the provider. I don't have to go through as many
hoops,
hurdles, whatever it is. So again, they appreciate that. And
that is really nice, actually. Super nice.
Yeah. And the reason a lot of providers are out of network is credentialing takes a long time, and insurance will pay out of network closer to the person's private rate, the clinician's private rate. So they're getting the payout that's worth their value. But out of network that's all it is. It's still covered. It's just billed a different way.
And you're able to help them with that. And I'm sure you understand it since you do it, as opposed to someone who has never done it before, does it once in a blue moon. It's just like, okay, I got $60 back, cool. Or 30, whatever it is. Okay.
Yes. Yes, I just had a situation with an out of network for my middle daughter has scoliosis, and the brace came back not covered. And I think they didn't realize they were dealing with a mom that knows a lot about billing codes. So we got it sent back, and they covered the whole 10 grand of the scoliosis.
Oh my gosh.
So I think it's just knowing billing and doing it for a long time. So with that, when I opened my practice in 2014, I created a profile on Psychology Today. So individuals would find me there or under their insurance plan. And I did have a Google business to find me.
Okay.
I did just publish a website, I'd say about 5 months ago. Needs some tweaking, but I have found that clients have found me through that recently.
Yeah.
But I will typically get 4 to 5 calls for new clients a week.
That's great.
Yeah, it's great, but I can't for my own life balance and being there for my family. I really have to check in with myself about what I can handle, and also providing good service as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about that a little bit more, and how you're finding your balance and why that's important to you. Maybe for other business owners who may be listening and they find that it's a challenge for them to do that, and they're just like, I'll just keep taking, it's fine. Next week I'll relax. And then it's just the same cycle over and over again.
Yeah. Well, kind of stems from, and I'll remind myself of this when I worked for community mental health, valuable experience. I mean, I worked with such a vast, what is called this serious mental ill population, but it is very challenging. But the knowledge I gained and the skills that I obtained from working with this population helped me when I opened my practice. You can't bring anything my way that I'm not afraid of.
Wow. She's a tough
For the most part.
Yeah.
So very valuable. And honestly, I loved working with that population in a lot of ways. But when you're working under the government sector, your quality of service it's minimal at that. Your caseloads are very high. The paperwork is beyond what you think. So it's really just a revolving door of clients. So I knew that my value in the end would be to control it the way I wanted to and give, even if an individual were meeting for 2 hours, I'll meet with them for 2 hours if I have that time carved out. There is no end point.
Yeah.
If the situation is something that if we stopped it right now, that could be, we could do so much more progress in therapy if we continued on.
Yeah.
So being able to do it the way I want to and have control over it in that aspect.
I feel like you're kind of taking back your power, right? For this degree and career that you
Yes.
want, and you get to do it the way you want and have
Yes.
the impact that you want, as opposed to what you just said of it being a revolving door, which I
Yes.
get.
Yeah.
It would be very hard to not have it be a revolving door when it comes to like doing it through government community services, because there's just so much, unfortunately. But the fact that you were able to take that knowledge, help all those people and see firsthand and see like, okay, this is what I want to not do, and this is what I actually want to have an impact on with people and the type of services and care that they get when they come through my doors. So I think that is awesome. That is so great.
Thank you.
And it's invaluable, probably all the cases that you took and the people you were able to see. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's see. What does true self-awareness look like or feel like to you beyond just intellectual understanding?
Well, self-awareness is something, as a therapist, it is very important part of doing your job. If I'm not self-aware, then I could be more subjective in a therapy session due to a client reminding me of some past situation in my life. So if I'm not constantly self-aware of how I am feeling during therapy sessions and if it elicits anything for me personally, and it has at points in my life, but that's something that I can know, acknowledge, and then I can kind of work through and identify if I think that that client will benefit from continuing to work with me, or if not. But it's usually something very small that I kind of identify on my own.
Yeah.
But I would say my friends have always said I'm pretty self-aware in terms of just, I'm so interested in the human body and the mind. So it's kind of inherent in me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm a very self-aware person too, and sometimes to my own demise. Sometimes I'm just, why do people get to not notice and I have to notice all these things, right? It's just like, it's exhausting sometimes, but sometimes I'm like, I guess I'm grateful for it. It's like a blessing and a curse, right?
Yes. Well, I say the highly sensitive, which I am.
I can be.
Is if we use the powers for good, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing to notice and feel everything. That's what makes some of the best providers. It's just figuring out how to handle our emotional responses and working through those sorts of areas of our life that maybe affected us early on that we're sensitive to for our own therapy.
Yes, that's right. So true. And is there anything that I have not touched on that perhaps you want to share? I know you talked about a little bit about insurance and like self-submitting and how you bill everything. I don't know if you want to go back to that or if there was anything else that I have not touched on about your business or yourself personally. I would like to give you this opportunity to talk about that.
Yeah, I can touch on a little bit more on the out-of-network navigating, finding therapists. I know there's a lot of therapists are a one-man practice. So I have found, for me, if someone reaches out to me via email, through my website, I do all my scheduling that way versus back and forth phone calls.
I see.
So I'll usually even, put that on my voicemail, and I do all the scheduling. Like I'll send them my portal, client portal invitation, and then they can even schedule their first appointment with me through my scheduling.
Nice.
I also allow it very flexible. Clients come and see me weekly, every 2 weeks. This is not someone you see every 6 months. So changing appointment times, we have to be flexible, given that they're coming to see me so often. So I have it in my online scheduling that you could change up to 6 hours prior.
Wow, that's pretty darn good, because I know
Yeah.
people have things come up. They have kids, they have other appointments. So I think this is
Yes.
great. Yeah.
And I also say I'm flexible, but I will also say I hope you can be flexible with me too, because I do have 3 kids, and not that I'm leaving all the time. I have
Yeah.
an arrangement with my husband of how he helps, and we do it, we tag team, but there's times that I also have to reschedule.
Exactly. We're all
Yeah.
humans. So
Yes.
we'll just find ways to make it work. I love that. And really quickly, before I get to my last question, maybe somebody's listening and they're just like, I love her. Like, this is awesome. I would like to schedule a session, or I think I know somebody who may need it. Tell us what type of issues or mental health issues, I want to say, that you help with,
Yes.
whether it's like PTSD, domestic abuse, mental illness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost the full scope, to be honest. It's most individuals that I see, I have about 30 clients right now, range from, a lot of it is life adjustment, but there's anxiety in there. And maybe now I realize I've always had a level of anxiety. It's just kind of ebbed and flowed over my life. Grief, loss. I've had several that have lost loved ones, aging parents, managing kids with having diagnoses that they're navigating, infertility. Obviously, I mentioned the perimenopause and menopause. It's not just that, but it's identifying all of the additional anxiety that comes out during that time. And really, yes, I'm a therapist to help work through, but there might be, again, an underlying, hormone that could also if worked on, could help alleviate the anxiety.
Yes, absolutely.
And interpersonal issues as well. So someone that's having problems with a relationship, spouse, friend, and I also welcome during our individual therapy for them to bring that individual in, and as well as those going through divorce.
Love
as
it.
well. So the full scope.
Yeah, you got a whole spectrum of everything.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
And college too. I have a lot of college kids.
Okay. Yes. So now, any last parting words that you would like to leave our listeners with, or a message, or anything at all?
What I always tell my clients when they meet me for the first time is I just say, if you see me out in the community, I am just like every other human being, messy and, not perfect and just imperfectly perfect. And the reason it works is not because I'm an expert on them at all. It's because I am in this room fully present with their story and nothing else. And for them to know that when they come in the room, that they have all of me in that regard.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today and taking time out of your day to come and talk with us. Tell us a little bit about your journey, the services that you provide, and how you've been able to help people. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
You're so welcome.